Thanks, Eva. I'll just take the liberty to redesignate Kaustubh here. Formally, he's the Chief Advisor, Investment and Strategy, but I think he's the Chief Doer and Troubleshooter in the CM's office. And he may not be the most important person in this room, but I surely think he's the most effective person in this room. Also, heading the Chief Minister's War Room. So I wanted to ask you about the Mumbai sustainability vision. I'm bringing him right into Mumbai because we are in Mumbai, Maharashtra's capital. So Chief Minister, I think, unveiled Mumbai sustainability vision at Davos at World Economic Forum. Can you just brief us on that and tell us where you have reached with that in 6 months' time?
So, good morning. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and this is such an important topic, and I'm so happy that we are convening to have an active conversation around it. This needs to be done more in companies, in governments. We need to align our thought processes so that we can all ensure that we are leaving a better planet and at the same time growing responsibly. I think sustainability has been a principled approach within the government from the time the Honorable Chief Minister took over. I have several examples that I can cite, including some of the projects that got approved, whether it was the Coastal Road or the Atal Setu. Both were very, very tough to get approved unless and until we committed ourselves at the highest level within the Cabinet and Government of India. One was related to marine life, and the other was related to the flamingo habitat. So we ensured that we build those very responsibly. So the culture already existed, but some of the important aspects of it were not in conversation. So what essentially ended up happening, I think more predominantly post-COVID, was an increased realization of getting this entire ecosystem together. So what eventually led is a partnership with the Tata Group in Davos to build a very solid circular economy ecosystem. And there are three important facets to that. The first very important facet is essentially a policy support which clearly defines waste as a resource. Unless and until we policymakers are putting it in print, very clearly indicating, which is very well known, but what is the policy support that is being provided by the government in order to enable. I came into the earlier conversation, Chaitanya, a little late, but very interesting conversation amongst 4 or 5 individuals who lead sustainability in these institutions. I almost agreed to most of the views that were presented. So the first is, very solid, transparent, predictable policy ecosystem which enables you to think of waste as a resource. The second important thing is the systems itself. The segregation system, the collection systems, very clear-cut, defined framework to do that. More or less within the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, for a very long time, this has evolved well but slowly, because the challenge is extremely profound. It is the magnitude and the scale of the challenge is huge, and the discipline does not exist, both within the system and also at the citizen level. So defining a system which basically segregates, collects, puts it in a proper way by which the costs are lower so that there could be interest in defining the process and then yet reaching the ultimate goal. So that's the second piece. And the third piece, obviously, is to give the investor community a confidence that, that this is an area that government is with predictable policies so that they can invest at scale. Unless and until these three empirical principles don't happen, it will not result in result. So what eventually ended up happening in Davos, and sorry to give you a slightly long brief, is because all that culminated into a partnership with the Tata Group, and we are now committed to build Mumbai as the first fully circular economy driven, led city. And there are now steps in that process that we have already initiated. The first step, obviously, is that we have set some very specific benchmarks. The first benchmark is the AQI benchmark. So we are looking at AQI because the whole circular economy is divided into several parts. The second piece is the policy which is coming, which is circular economy parks that we are going to put. So there are 12 parks we have identified across the length and breadth of Maharashtra, majorly outside major corporations, between 100 to 200 acres, where these were, typically think of it like an industrial park, but one zone will be for, let's say, building material recycling, one will be for for automated scavenging of vehicles, one will be for biomedical waste. So the whole ecosystem will be built. The land will be literally at 1 rupee or nothing because the cost of doing this is significant. And the reason it is significant, Chaitanya, is that the process is not yet there. So putting the burden on the private sector to kind of, bear the brunt of that, unless and until we are first, kind of disciplined in our approach, is not. So that has resulted in several steps, and you will see the results of those steps. The AQI which is improving is not necessarily a complete outcome of that, but that is because enforcement is now happening with the new commissioner in place, and she is very clear about, the discipline that needs to be followed. But these are very important imperatives, and I believe that this is not just a necessity, it is an economic strategy for the state government.
To add to that, as you know, Mumbai, the biggest development is actually redevelopment, which redevelopment in infrastructure and redevelopment of housing. So is there some way where through your vision and what you've said, can circular economy be brought into redevelopment?
No, has to be. So again, the one, leaning on a very impressive close of the last session, where I think the gentleman from the Mahindra Group kind of very clearly identified 3, 4, 5 steps. And then the lady from the Aditya Birla Group added the last step, which is very, very, it's absolutely spot on. So I think what is most important is that this is a disciplined approach, ladies and gentlemen. I did my policy, and my specialization in policy was the science and politics of climate change. And one of the fundamental principles that our professor taught us is that, it's called as a global commons problem, where whatever you do essentially is not really going to benefit to you on your, immediate profitability or something, but you leave an intangible impact on the environment. So I think what is becoming increasingly crucial is that while this kind of development at scale that is happening, because now we are going to do these underground tunnels, they are not really kind of heavy on the pollution side, but the fact of the matter is that the infrastructure, both the state government done infrastructure on road, bridges, metros, underground tunnels, but the redevelopment in Mumbai. Today there are more than 5,700 buildings that are in process or undergoing redevelopment. The scale of that proportion is huge, and every single day these applications are coming in. SRA projects are happening at scale. Mahada clusters are being demolished and new clusters are being built. So if we have a principled approach, Chaitanya, where we say that we will do these buildings in a certain way, there will be a standard that will be followed, the material that will be brought will be low emission, and that is recyclable. If these principled approach through a policy mechanism is imposed, and I'm using the word impose very cautiously, because unless and until there are some impositions that happen, we will not be able to bring change at scale. Voluntary CSR-led initiatives is not going to take circular economy or environmental issues at scale. Government will have to step in with solid policy pressure. So to answer your question in brief, yes, there is a very important role of circular economy, that the whole principles of circular economy which will come into play when this entire approach is taken, and government is committed to do that.
So you're saying that rather than being a facilitator or a catalyst, government has to take the role of a more stern regulator to enforce circular economy.
Has to be. See, we are in an era where we are building at scale. Now we have to all realize that, we have to do what is right and yet remain profitable. And this is a message to the business community. And I think that doing right is very crucial. And now if the disciplined approach is not coming within all institutions, certain institutions are taking the lead and saying that, okay, there is a principled approach. But if that is not happening in every institution, we will not be able to bring change at scale. So I believe that what government essentially needs to do, and this is a personal view, as a policy maker within the government, we will have these conversations in cabinet, and then the wisdom of the cabinet and the wisdom of the chief minister will come into play. But I'm a very strong proponent of this fact that unless and until you have certain very specific measures that you put in place, especially when it comes to redevelopment of projects, because it's an absolute, the build out process is a guzzler on environment, but it needs to happen. Okay, so it is imperative, but can we work on a strategy which makes sure that it follows a principled approach, that there are certain materials which can be used which are far more. It is definitely going to have an impact on cost, but what is that impact? Unless and until we travel that path, we will not know. So all I'm saying is that government needs to be a little bit aggressive and active. Maybe the geopolitical environment right now is not appropriate because there are too many headwinds coming from all sides. We put pressure on the investor community more, they will crumble. But at an appropriate time, I think pressure needs to be put. And if the realization and the conscience of the business community does not wake up, then we will have to wake it up.
So do you think, I saw an example in the previous, when the speaker was saying that EU in 2026 came out with a circular economy law. So do you think, if not right now, in the next few months, Maharashtra should also codify whatever vision documents we have and have its own circular economy law as a legislation?
Honestly, I am not a great fan of regulation or over-regulation. I think a collaborative mechanism where we understand each other and understand each other's responsibilities of far better long-term sustainable way of doing business. I think government needs to be very assertive in clearly telling what its end goal is from these 4, 5, 6 parameters. This conversation is very important is because a couple of days ago we were having this conversation on two-wheelers, which are a very important component of Mumbai's last mile today. But the challenge is that we took a policy decision that it has to be EVs. Now we are not giving them transition time. So this conversation is going on. Obviously it is right now within the purview of cabinet. But the fact of the matter is that the question that we need to ask ourselves is, why are we imposing this? Because we have taken a policy in principle decision that we will promote EVs because we are focused on a certain commitment as far as environment is concerned. Now obviously this is going to disturb the business environment for the medium to long term. For short to medium term. But in the long term, we will achieve our goal, and you will also realize that the new environment of work is far better, more sustainable, and it is far more healthier. So these are, sometimes you have to kind of become a little bit aggressive, but I am not in favor of any law at the moment. I am not in favor of over-regulation. I am appealing to the business community to work with the government. There are certain flaws in our policy making. We have not been transparent enough. The whole waste segregation system has been marred with a very wrong set of people in that business, which has further complicated matters. But all of this is now, we are consciously aware of it and we are changing it. We are bringing better investors. Unless and until Chaitanya, we give investors the confidence that the government is predictable and it means business to do this right, they are not going to pool in their capital. So I believe that confidence building measure is government's responsibility.
Yeah, you're right. I think investors need two things: policy predictability and political predictability. If you offer both, then I think stuff can work. Again, there are, I often tell people that Kaustubh is the Blinkit of Maharashtra bureaucracy. He's quick, and that's what everyone wants. And also people want stuff to happen quickly in politics. So, like you said, there is a cost issue when you want to bring in circularity in everything. Do you think it's a challenge to make circular economy political sense? Does it make political sense when you have very short weekly, fortnightly, monthly, 6 monthly timelines? Do you think because this drags everything down, the political class is not interested in this?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In fact, you're 100% right. But here is the difference between political leaders and great political leaders, right? It's very clear, it's very evident, the way they conduct themselves. And this is across countries, okay? You will be able to gauge the traits of great political leaders, visionaries very quickly because they are never narrow-minded. There has been a time in Indian political history where elections, there is this saying that the Chief Minister always says that, the greatest challenge that he has is that to do what is right and yet get elected. And he keeps on constantly kind of challenging himself to make sure that, you know, he is on that path. Typically, historically, political leadership has been a short-term, 5-year, narrow vision. What can we do? Populist measures that we can apply. Let's not focus on something that is going to be extremely long-term. So that has been consistent, not only in the Indian political circles, globally also. We have examples of that. That has significantly changed after Narendra Modi took over, and I have to say that because we have experienced that change. And at that point in time, when you start to kind of build something at scale, and there are several examples, Chaitanya. Some of them may not have worked for the government. So I believe that as far as the government of Maharashtra is concerned, and as far as the vision of the Chief Minister and the state cabinet is concerned, I am 100% certain that we are fully committed to this. We know that the results may not be visible by 2028-29, but we are 100% certain that if we sow the seeds and if we flower the plant, then there will be greenery across Maharashtra.
Since you also head the CM's war room, and what I gathered today is that circular economy is not a one-way street, and it's not just about a vision or a document. It requires a lot of heavy coordination and collaboration between state government, between regional municipalities, other regulatory agencies like MPCB. So at the war room level, how do you think this can be handled better? And do you admit that at that level there has been a failure to address this so far?
I think I wouldn't say that it would be a failure, but I would say that there are very clear indicators of improvement. So here is what the challenge is. You know, as a chief investment advisor to the chief minister, one of the challenges I'm facing is that there is $480 billion of investment coming into Maharashtra, and investors getting increasingly impatient, because in order to set up one's EV plant, traditionally it is taking about 365 days or maybe 420 days. And there are 3-4 permissions that are required, and most of them are environment related, which is increasing my time plan. The same number of days, if you go to any economy, is far more lesser. In certain states in our country also it is lesser. So we are trying to build in my office as a competitive advantage, how can I get industries on the ground faster? But at the same time, the balancing act is that what are the necessary requirements that need to be completed and not hastened through? Whether it is ETP, whether it is consent to operate, whether it is... So are there any rudimentary policies which need to be removed? And can we kind of improve the efficiency of kind of implementation? So governance, nobody says governance is easy, whether it is government or it's a private sector. It's a tough battle of choices. And you are going to be in some way or the other, maybe not judged, but assessed by the choices that you are going to make today. And I am firm on the fact that we are working, and we may not be right every single time, but we want to make choices which are impacting citizens positively at scale. So I would say that this is an ongoing battle. There is no yes and no, right and wrong answer. I have to admit it's a gray area. When consent to operate is and the MPCB is taking such a long time, it is very, very frustrating. For me, if I'm an industrialist, it is extremely frustrating, because probably an Andhra Pradesh or a Gujarat is giving them in almost 10% of the time that we are taking. So there is this balance that needs to happen, and it's a process that we have to traverse. But yes, there are some areas of improvement, I would say, and we are at it.
Thank you, Kaustubh. You have been very, very candid as always, and given us a glimpse into the kind of work you are doing and the kind of challenges that the government also faces. Thank you so much for a really candid conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.